So Proposal B has been rejected. You know what? I'm done. I'm finished. I'm out. Good luck. I'll see you. I'm out. I'm out of here. I mean, seriously, you had one job. Vote this proposal in. I mean, look, listen, it certainly did have its flaws. It certainly wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But this was the chance for change. This was the chance to rip up what has been the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship in the past couple of years. And let's be honest, the whole reason why we had this Congress, the whole reason why we had these two proposals being proposed for change in Gaelic football was because the current status quo wasn't working. Let's be perfectly honest. Last year, Mayo absolutely trashed Leitrim. They absolutely trashed Sligo. Kerry breezing through everyone in Munster. We've seen what's happened in the Leinster Championship with Dublin way too far ahead of absolutely everyone. Fair enough, the Ulster Senior Football Championship has been very competitive. Look, listen, fair play to them. You know, they're doing a great job, and by all means, they should continue what they're doing over there. But come on, like, let's be perfectly honest. This was a chance to do something different. This was a chance for change. I mean, how do you go into a Congress where there's two proposals being laid out on the table and you come out with nothing? I mean, it's like having an election for a president and then your two candidates get completely rebuffed and you stick with the same president you had. It makes absolutely zero sense. I understand, fair enough, you have your 60% quota or whatever you need to reach. You know, there needs to be 60% of the people for a majority vote, but like really, like 60%, like I just don't get it. We had 50%, so that was the majority. Like, it was a majority. It was a small majority, but it was still a majority. I mean, it's just ridiculous in my opinion. Like, really, it's so typical of the GAA. You make one decision, like we're always just going backwards, in all honesty. And let's discuss the pros and cons in relation to this system, because I did record a podcast most recently with Daniel Hussey of Tackling Sport. If you haven't gone and watched that, I would recommend go ahead and check that out. We discussed the pros and cons. Well, actually, in all honesty, there's probably no point listening to it now, because Proposal B isn't even coming. It isn't even happening. And something we even discussed was the potential that this wouldn't even get voted in. And here we are. It hasn't even got voted in. And let's discuss some of the arguments, first of all, against Proposal B. And I do want to say straight out, like, I am not saying that this was the perfect system. This was not the saviour for Gaelic football, but it was the start. It was in the right direction. It was moving forward. It was different than last year. Why can't we trial it for 1 or 2 years and do something a little bit different rather than just stick with the same thing that clearly isn't working? And some of the arguments against, for example, is that you could finish 6th in Division 1, but yet the 24th place team progress further into the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. And if you don't know how Proposal B worked, just have a look at, online, have a look at a couple of different videos. I might even leave an image on screen now so you'll see exactly how it worked. You can pause the video if you want to. Basically, how it worked was the Division 4 winners would progress into the qualifiers, playing potentially one of the Division 2 teams. Whoever won that would obviously go on into the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship quarter-finals, joining the top 5 teams from Division 1. So it would mean that the team that finished in 6th wouldn't progress further in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship than the side that essentially finished 24th in the whole spectrum of the National Football League. But let's have a look back at the National League over the past couple of years. Let's have a look at what happened to the teams who finished in the 6th position right there. You can see some teams with 5 defeats, 4 defeats, losing the majority of their games they've played by like a vast majority. If you lose 5 games in the championship, should you really progress into the next round of the qualifiers? Absolutely not. And fair enough, some people would say, well, okay, so, maybe the team that finishes first in Division 4 will get a one-off game. Well, actually, first of all, they still have to come through their division. It's actually harder for them in many ways to get out of the division that they're in, because there's only 1 spot available as opposed to 5. You finish in that first position, you then play one of the Division 2 teams, obviously, who finish in the top 3. You beat them, then you go on to the quarterfinals. You've one opportunity against one of the teams that the team that finished in 6th in Division 1 had 7 opportunities again. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And for Monaghan, Fermanagh, Armagh, Galway, I mean, I just don't understand why those county boards have voted against this. I mean, first of all, Monaghan and Armagh, like, let's be perfectly honest, I understand why they vote against it, because they're probably one of the sides that will probably finish around 6th or so. Like, one of them will probably, one of them might finish a bit higher, one of them might even get relegated. But, like, let's be perfectly honest, like, if you lose 5 games in your championship, in your league season, should you really progress on to the next round of the championship? Absolutely not. It hasn't worked before, so why should it work now? Galway rejected this as well, and I really don't understand why. I mean, maybe they feel that, they want to be winning Connacht championships, and they feel like if they start winning more Connacht championships now, it will start getting devalued. And I can only think that's the only reason why Fermanagh voted against it as well, because obviously they haven't won an Ulster championship before in their history at senior level, and of course maybe they feel if they now go on to win the Ulster Senior Football Championship, it will degrade what that achievement or something, but that won't happen at all. It's absolutely ridiculous. The provincial championships will only get devalued if the TV companies lose interest in it. Will that actually happen? Will TV companies lose interest in the provincial championships? Okay, maybe at the start of the provincial championships, maybe in the early rounds, maybe in the round robin system. But I was even saying this on a previous podcast before. Keep it at a straight knockout. Don't do the round robin in the provincial championships, because one of the main arguments a lot of people I think had against Proposal B as well was that there was too many games and you have a lot of players playing too many county games, too many club games, it's too overwhelming, all the rest. Let's get rid of the round robin system, let's have a straight knockout. And you know what, even to top it off, the team that wins the provincial championship, they get more home games, for example, in their respective division, or it doesn't matter where they finish in their respective division, they progress on further into the All-Ireland series. And okay, you could say fair enough, well, what happens if Dublin win the Leinster Championship and obviously Dublin finish first in Division 1, let's say, for example? Well, then you could have another space that becomes available, because obviously that provincial space is taken up. Like, there's so many tweaks you could do to this system. It wasn't perfect. Why are we just rejecting it, throwing it in the bin? Oh, let's get rid of it, let's forget about it. Like, why not make these changes? Make these changes going into 2022. What's holding us back here? Oh, it just blows my mind. I could go on about it all day, to be perfectly honest. And look, listen, I really did feel that this was going to go through, and like what I said before, it's not perfect. No system is perfect, but just make a couple of tweaks going into 2022. Like, why do we have to have all this congress and all these special meetings and we need to contact this county board and we need to do this, we need to do this? We're just trying to please everyone, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And we're now going into a situation in 2022 where we're going to be right back where we started, right back to the same thing again. And you know what it is, it's just so frustrating. Like, as someone who's built up this GAA channel over the past couple of years, you know, I want to be making good content, I want to be making good videos, I want to be making, you know, the type of content that people want to see. And you know, here we go again. Here we go, lads. Match reaction. Mayo have beaten Leitrim by 26 points. Oh, whip-de-doo. Happy days. Yep. Mayo are into another Connacht final. Dublin have beaten Longford by 20 points. Like, really? Are we really back to that again, are we? And look, Proposal B wasn't going to sort everything, because as I said in previous podcasts, we are ignoring the fundamental issue. And the fundamental issue is that a lot more counties need more support. They need more resources. They need more help at grassroots. They need more help promoting the game. There needs to be more games development officers employed at various counties, not just, you know, the so-called weaker counties, but even some other counties as well that are struggling, you know, to have good populations and whatnot. Like, there needs to be more help supported for those counties rather than just the traditional counties, if you like to say so. There needs to be more help offered to these counties, and Proposal B, fair enough, wasn't going to fix that, but it was a step in the right direction. There'd be a lot of players who would look at Proposal B and think, you know what, that's an opportunity for me to play. Maybe you'd have some lads for Leitrim, Sligo, maybe some other counties as well that are involved in other sports, and think, you know what, I might actually give Gaelic football a go next year, because there's a bit of potential there. There's a bit of opportunity for more games. It looks quite healthy. It looks like quite respective. And now all of a sudden you're back to that status quo again. Like, our players from Sligo, Leitrim, Longford, Louth, are they really going to be interested in playing in their provincial championships once again, when you'll get beat, you'll go into the qualifiers, you might have a little bit of a run, but then you'll be knocked out again? And was anything really going to change with Proposal B in terms of the All-Ireland winners? Like, was a Division 4, Division 3 team going to go and win the All-Ireland? Absolutely not. But for a year or two, it would be a big help to those counties. It would be progression. It'd be something to work towards, something that would help them at the start of the year. They're playing teams from their own level and they have an opportunity to progress further. This could have been the start of that support for those counties. If players want to play for the county, then, you know, that can only be a help. And then you can start looking into helping out some of the weaker counties, and maybe if some more counties get more on board, get more players, get more staff, I mean, you can improve, you can grow. And now you're just in a situation where everything's almost going to be stagnant. Like, there's going to be so much players that aren't arsed whatsoever, and to be perfectly honest, you can't really blame them. And so where do we go from here? Well, we go back to where we started last year. We go back to normal provincial championships with qualifiers, no Super 8s, and we have the quarterfinals. I mean, the funny thing is, the Super 8's got a lot of negative criticism, and fair enough, I completely agree with it. But let's remember why we brought that in. We were having too many one-sided quarterfinals. Let's go back to the quarterfinals back in 2017, for example. All the quarterfinals were heavily one-sided, and it's kind of crazy. We brought in the Super 8s to try and make it a bit more competitive and a bit more entertaining and whatnot. And, like, I don't think it was necessarily like terrible. I think the idea was right. I just don't think the execution was there, for example. But like, here we go again. We're just going back to that again. Like, oh well, you know, it didn't work before, but it's gonna work now. And the Tailteann Cup is gonna be coming in, or the Tommy Murphy Cup, or the Johnny Murphy Cup, or whatever they actually decide to call this trophy. In all honesty, and again, I mean, is this competition gonna get the promotion it deserves? Is this competition gonna be broadcasted on TV? You know, around the same time as All Ireland finals, semi-finals? Like, then maybe we can get behind it, we can enjoy it and whatnot. But again, it's all just tokenism in many ways, and yeah, very, very frustrating stuff. And obviously there's been a lot of uproar to this news as well, and you completely understand why. I mean, we were there, we were literally set for some sort of change. We were set for a competitive championship next year. We were set for something different. And I think a lot of Gaelic football fans in general have just been asking for something different. Like, this has been something that we've been talking about going back as far as 2018, 2017, even before that. Like, change has been needed in Gaelic football for quite a long time, in my opinion. Not just in terms of the structure of the championship, but in terms of the whole overall big picture of Gaelic football, in terms of how it's promoted, in terms of how it's developed, in terms of how it, you know, younger players need to get more involved in the game. And here we are once again, like, just putting a backward step to all that. You know, the structure, fair enough, it wasn't going to solve all those issues, but it was a step in the right direction. And yes, it had its flaws. Yes, it had, you know, maybe the 5th or 6th team in Division 1, for example, wouldn't progress on further in the All-Ireland Championship, or the 6th place team, I should say, for example, but they would lose 5 games in their championship season. Like what I said before, if you had a look back at 2017, 2016 in the National League, like 5 defeats, you shouldn't progress on further than that, in my opinion. Like, you just shouldn't. So there were flaws in it. Maybe there could have been tweaks. Maybe they could have made changes. Yeah, it doesn't get voted in anyways. And like what I said before, it wasn't the perfect system in the world. It wasn't going to solve every problem in Gaelic football, but it was a step in the right direction. It was a step forward rather than a step backwards. And once again, we'll be stuck with the same situation we're stuck in every year right now, which is, unfortunately, the provincial championships come back again next year. I mean, they were going to be there anyway. I mean, that was the funny thing. A lot of people were saying, oh, the provincial championships will get devalued. They were still going to be there anyways. They were still going to be there. But they're going to be there again now, and they're going to have so much weight, as they always do. We're going to see one-sided games. They're going to see, you know, we're not going to see any great competitive games until, what, the semi-finals, realistically. And yeah, back to square one, unfortunately. And that's just, unfortunately, the nature of how Gaelic football runs right now. But yeah, just a quick video on my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Unfortunately, Propasal B gets rejected, as we very well know. Massive disappointment. Very, very disappointed, I have to say, with that news. But let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on Propasal B getting rejected. What do you think they should do now in 2023? What tweaks maybe would you make for this system, maybe moving forward? Or maybe you can make some good arguments as to why we should keep the current system. I really don't know. But yeah, let me know your comments down below. My name is Aaron, and I'll see you all in the next video.